This is Rick Harsch, and this is my master class in fiction. You can skip this ad in 3 days. Except for you, Neil. You sit down and you listen for a week. Then you can go. All right? Now, the last video I did was the night walk. And, on that walk, I was walking my dog in the old city of Isola, Slovenia, a Venetian town. And I just said whatever came to mind, which is what I do anyway. This time I just happened to be walking, so I could see things that I didn't normally see. Oh, look at those monkeys. Well, anyway, the the thing is, where we usually walk, the dog shits, on grass or in bushes, usually bushes. It's kind of hard to clean that up, and I don't see the need to, really. But when the dog shits on a walking space, like the streets that, is a, what do you call a street that's it's just called a street even though there's no cars, It's the good old days, when before the internal combustion engine, they didn't have to build superhighways in the middle of a town. Well, if you watch all that video, you noticed at minute 12 or 13, the dog was down the block in the shit position. And I quickly turned the other way. Why did I do that? Well, that extraordinary writer, David Vardaman, here's his book, 10 euros plus postage, and believe me, you'll get at least 73 euros of pleasure out of it. But don't take my word on that. Don't take my word on anything. That's the best approach to take to a teacher of writing. Don't believe a fucking thing. Anyway, the dog went into shit position, and Bardaman made he's a cat about town, you might say. And so he said, something about the dog shit, and, do I have anything to say about that? I don't, And, I have a lot to say about dogs shitting. I have been presented with the theory, the reason that dogs kind of move about before they shit is they try to align themselves with their head to the north. And when I heard that, I thought, well, that's a great theory. I hope it's true, but I doubt it. And so smoking will kill you, but not as fast as writing advice. So take it from me, a writing advisor, who's learned a new word, influencer. Somebody told me I was an influencer. And then someone told me, no, you got to have a blue check by your name on Instagram to be an influencer. And I said, predictably, if you know me, influencer, fuck that. There's got to be a better word. I don't try to influence anyone. I just come up with notions. So I want to be called a notionator. But you can call me Rick if you want. But we're talking about dogs, so don't try to change the subject. My dog is in there's some influence when he shits in the house. I mean, you can smell it. It smells really bad. You can't beat him because he already knows he fucked up. And so you can't teach him anything. You just got to clean up after him and give him that wasn't very good of you. And he'll go, like this. And that's all you can do. But he rarely shits in the house. But he did shit on the street, and I didn't clean it up because I wanted to end the video in the elevator, and I didn't have time to go back and clean it up and get in under 15 minutes. Take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Let's go back to the dog facing north. Naturally, after I heard that theory, I watched my dog shit night after night and paid special regard to the direction he ended up in. And I found out that there is actually no preferred compass direction for his head when he's shitting. He just likes to do a little shit dance before he shits. And so Mr. Vardaman, That's only a part of what I want to say. I've actually written a bit here in the book called Skulls of Istria, which is which is 10 euros also, but is worth 59, not 73. It's not a Vardaman. But I did write a little about dogs. I was talking about an old professor of mine, a little homage to him that I paid within the story. And after describing one thing about him, I said, what a madman. But a note about his dogs. Last time I visited his home, he had 3. The big one, Ajax, a mighty golden hound bigger than a St. Bernard. Shiva, the destroyer, a stray that looked like an inbred devolution of the husky. Pinocchio, a chihuahua Kronos hit with his jaguar in Oak Park one day, paralyzing its hind parts, rendering it unfit for suburbia. An inconvenience. You want him, you can have him. And Kronos took him, built a cart for him, and he was the happiest dog I ever saw, dragging himself off his cart to greet me, wearing homemade diapers when in the house. And I won't go on about that spectacle, or the temporary rift between us when I told Kronos I could not bear to take care of his animals while he was off reading a paper somewhere. He wanted someone he could trust. I tried it once, and now I remember there was a 4th dog, scrofulous and deformed. You know how dogs commonly lope askew? This one wriggled like a noodle, scroffed. Oh, only it was fat and nearly hairless. I mean, it was scroffed like in the textbooks. And it had enormous balls. And when you took him for a walk, the stinking mange hound dropped an infinity of turds. In batches of 3, troikas of turds, 3 here, 3 there, that were just the size and shape of those jostling gonads. It never stopped, just wriggled on, a happy monstrosity scumbering the earth, creating the illusion that it was shedding its balls in triplicate on the run. I told Kronos I couldn't stand it. It wasn't just the turd dropper, it was the house. Kronos himself never knew whether he had 3 cats or 5, and the house belonged to this menagerie. His books were hairier than his dogs because they didn't shed. Anyway, that's what I have to say about dogs, dog shit, and my apologies for not cleaning up that shit. Don't want you to think bad of me. I don't like to leave dog shit on sidewalks, and, I don't. But if the dog shits in the bushes, which is what he usually does, I leave it, okay? And that thing you hear about the dogs facing north, well, I know one dog who doesn't conform to that theory. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Neil? Neil! No, not Neil. I'm saying your name. Get up. Sit down. On your ass. Don't kneel. Now quit fucking telling people, Neil, what they should do when they write. Okay? And don't be so fucking clever and pleased with yourself, Neil. Enough. You behave or I won't have you back on my show.